Hi, we're being joined by Harpreet Singh from Expercoin today in an episode of Meet the Makers. My name is Rebecca Hope from Block News. It's great to have you here, Harpreet.
My pleasure to be with you, Rebecca.
You are in Boston right now, right?
I am, yes.
And you have a long history of success in the world of Harvard, and at the moment you're working with the Harvard Lab.
Yes, I'm part of the Harvard Innovation Launch Lab. We are being incubated in the Launch Lab. It's an incubator for Harvard companies.
Fantastic. So we're talking about a very important issue in today's day and age, which is educations and unemployment, right? Educational institutions and unemployment. And we see in our world today, we have a lot of unemployment. You've mentioned that we have 850 million people just in 9 countries that are unemployed. I know in my country, I'm from South Africa, and unfortunately 55% of our youth is unemployed, which obviously makes a lot of social instability, and people have to move abroad or they have to start their own small businesses. It's a lot of pressure. And what you're looking at doing is trying to transform that and foreseeing where things are going in the future. We've also identified that, especially in countries like America, education is extremely expensive, and how those kinds of institutions will actually have to change in the future. Could you just walk us through what exactly the problem is that you have identified?
Yes, the problem is massive, that the higher education, the universities and colleges, they're not doing a good job in training young people for the real world. The curriculum is, very static. It was designed decades ago. They're still teaching the same things with the same methodology, large lectures, and not enough hands-on work, not enough interaction with the industry. So that leads to a lot of problems that when our young people graduate from college, they're not able to find jobs for which they're being trained. And the employer, so when you survey the employers, they're saying, we need to retrain these people for entry-level jobs. And McKinsey did a study, and they found that 55% of employers believe it's their responsibility to engage in this sort of training, and even for upskilling for their existing employees. Because see, not only is education, the higher education, becoming irrelevant, we also have another trend that is happening, which is artificial intelligence. AI is making many of the jobs redundant, unnecessary, because they're being automated. So, for example, a country like India has, is the destination for call centers. So if you want to hire people in a call center, you would go to India. And if you want manufacturing, you go to China. So with AI automation, with natural language processing, emergence of bots, most of these call centers are going to shut down. Again, with the automation that's happening of the supply chain, even Foxconn, which is one of the largest factories that also supports Apple, is heavily investing in automation.
Right.
So what that's going to do is displace all these jobs. All these workers are going to be unemployed. So there's a crisis that is going to occur in these developing countries where 50-60% of the jobs are going to be automated. Whereas in the US and other developed countries, it may not be that high, but it is still approaching 40-50%. That jobs that don't require high cognitive abilities can be done by machines much better than we can do them.
But even jobs that do require high cognitive abilities, like accounting, that is now also being replaced, right, by AI.
Absolutely. So
so there's a lot of pressure in the future, and we have to be thinking ahead. So that's the one thing, and then education also is very expensive. And so what has started to happen is there's been a lot of online solutions that are either cheap or free, like Udemy or Coursera, or many other institutions. And so what I've seen is you've kind of used on the unemployment side, you've used the model of Upwork, that kind of freelance community where you can find a client and a service provider. can find each other. And then you've also used the model of the education, the courses, and like Udemy, that kind of model, where you can list a course, you can be a course instructor, and you can manage, how that is created. So why did you choose these two specific ones as your primary focus?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe I can give you a little bit of context about myself first. That I did my PhD at Harvard, and I was teaching at Harvard for 2 years before I became a full-time entrepreneur in 2014. And what we were looking at was a growing skills gap in the area of AI and machine learning specifically at that time. And so we built a platform that encompassed both the on-demand consulting side, where if you're a company struggling to find a machine learning engineer or AI engineer, you can, within hours, find that talent on our platform. We have 30,000 experts on our platform. Similarly, the same companies are saying that, okay, I can find talent, but what if I want to also train my people in the same technologies? So we also had these 30,000 experts we gathered on Expercoin create bite-sized courses that are highly relevant to the industry. So, for example, rather than having you take a course on healthcare analytics, we have a course that is focused on how do you analyze patient data to then understand disease. Right? It's a short course, 2 hours, to give you a flavor of the topic, get you started. And then there's a track where you can take additional courses and hone your skills and get them productive right away, rather than being in a classroom for a semester on MOOCs like Coursera, Udacity. They're doing a great job, but they are, you have to invest a lot of time for foundational knowledge, which has its own benefits. But where we are coming from is that, no, you need industry use cases. You need to learn those from experts who are working in the
right. You have to constantly educate yourself. And that is a huge culture now. Is everybody, especially those in IT, but in every sphere, you cannot survive anymore. If you're going to be out of the job market for a year, you're going to miss a lot of activity that's happening, and you have to constantly educate yourself. And I think education, most people that I know are currently taking some kind of course online, or in their industry, or something new that they want to learn, but it's vital, right? And you've seen on a larger scale that there needs to be some AI behind this. We need to find better systems to run this in a more efficient way, where we can reach more people, and be a little bit better than the existing models, right?
Right. So coming back to what we're doing is that we are combining work and education on a single platform, and we are enriching that experience with assessments. So if you are looking to become a machine learning engineer, you can take an assessment and we identify the gaps. That, look, you need to first learn statistics, or you need to learn a certain type of mathematics before you can actually jump into this. So we do an assessment, and then using machine learning, we can then provide you with guidance on the kind of courses you should be taking, and how do you benchmark yourself against your peers, right? That's very important. That where do you stand? You may think that, I took this course, I know everything, but when you go out for an interview, you may find that you're not getting a job. And what is the reason for not getting a job? Maybe when you benchmark yourself against others, you still have a long way to go, right? So we have these are automated platforms, but then we have a mentorship platform which provides the human touch that I really need to practice interviewing, or I need to help. I need some help with debugging my code. I need a human being to help me with that. So that platform we charge by the minute. So you can schedule a live call like the one we're having. And the mentor can look at your screen. They can work with you on your code. If it's a coding exercise, if they're working on soft skills, then they can just have a conversation with you. So it's a very robust platform that allows you to get access to a human being who's an expert, and kind of round off your skills.
Right.
So
because improving your skills does require that all-rounded experience. You cannot just have a one-dimensional experience. You cannot just read. You have to actually physically or verbally, face-to-face, interact with somebody in the market to try and better yourself. And we see so many models of that already happening, but what you're trying to do is integrate them all into one. So let's talk about Expercoin. Let's talk about the blockchain technology and how that's important.
Absolutely. So what Expercoin is doing is taking what Experfy did in the AI space, and we are transforming ourselves from a marketplace to a protocol, to an infrastructure provider, so that anyone that has a great idea in a particular field of study, doesn't have to be AI, could be anything, could be smart manufacturing, could be French studies, it could be something esoteric. As long as you have access to a community, you can monetize that community. And the way you monetize it, you get that community to engage in the kind of things we've been talking about. That community can say, okay, I have a community that focuses on IoT and smart manufacturing, and we focus on predictive analytics and preventive maintenance, for example. So we're going to go after all the telecom providers that have cell phone towers, and we're going to help them, with consulting. We're going to help them by creating content around predictive maintenance, because such content doesn't exist today, right? If you go to any of the platforms out there, you're not going to find this level of specialized content.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity. It's a time of great change in the world, where these new technologies are popping up at a massive speed.
So it's been very important for you to then translate this into a blockchain technology, right?
Absolutely. So on the blockchain side, because it's a protocol, we can decentralize these marketplaces. We're calling them republics. The moment you can bring together these various platforms and a community, you bring them together, we call it a republic. So you launch your own republic. It's on the blockchain. Smart contracts are used to mediate between users. So a person selling something, someone's buying something, the money goes in the smart contract, and then it's released to the person once the job is done, or once the course is delivered. If there are disputes, then the community can come in, the token holders can come in, they can vote, they can arbitrate, they can adjudicate, and so it's very important to leverage the blockchain to bring efficiencies.
And we've seen that before with other companies where they do the same thing, where they create, now a jury where you can. It's more manageable then, so it's all based on the people deciding if there's any dispute between the client and the service provider, what can be done. However, you're not just doing this in isolation. This is a full-on, this is the real deal. This is a full-on, well-thought-out strategy. So how long has it taken for you to develop this?
Well, we've been working on the platforms for the last 4.5 years, right? So the platforms have been built. But on the blockchain side, we've been working for a little over a year now, and a lot of hard work has gone into this. So we have a very strong team of blockchain experts, and
you're putting it in the user's hand. You're giving the user the opportunity to start their own enterprise or whatever at a very low cost. Is there a cost for the user initially?
We charge them a fee of 5 to 8% of the revenue they generate in the republic.
Okay.
So we want to make it very frictionless. Anyone should be able to start a republic. You may have a LinkedIn group with 100,000 members. Why not turn that into a republic? Right.
So you can essentially create your own republic at no startup cost, but there is a percentage which you take, right?
That's right. We take a percentage, and some folks may have a business model where they're never going to generate any revenue, right? In that case, we have to figure out what is the equitable way to charge them something.
Right.
So we have companies, big four companies that want to launch republics internally, and for their own company, and they don't have any desire to make revenue, right? To generate revenue. So in that situation, we have to charge them something.
Right. So you want to see people enabling or self-enabled to create whatever they need to in the sphere of education or upskilling,
Hmm.
and at ease, right? Not with any complications or too many
Absolutely,
complications.
absolutely. It has to be turnkey. That's the only way the business user is going to use it. If it is seamless, turnkey, doesn't require technical know-how. But if you're a developer, you have a great idea for a DApp
Mm-hmm.
that can be used in a Republic. Right? I'm a developer. I think if I create the next generation video player that can look at who's pausing where in a course and give me insights, analytics,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a great DApp to add to the App Store, and any Republic can then use it, and you can
So
monitor that.
what you want to see is people creating their own republic, as you call it.
Yeah, people create their own republics. They get some prepackaged dApps that we provide, the mentorship, the assessments, and so forth. But if you wanted to create new dApps, uh, new learning experiences, you
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to do so because we provide you with a protocol
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to build your own customized dApp.
So tell us a bit about the ICO offering and your token sales.
Absolutely. So what we are currently in a private pre-sale, and we've been lucky that there is a lot of strong interest. It's a tough market. Despite that, there is always going to be interest if the
Mm-hmm.
projects are good.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been lucky in that regard, and we've just to give you some sense of what the terms look like for the private pre-sale, we are selling 45% of our supply of
Mm-hmm.
our tokens, and we are selling them at 2 cents. This is in US dollars, 2 cents per token. This is EXPR
Mm-hmm.
token,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is at a 20% discount of the ICO price.
Okay.
The ICO price is going to be 2.5 cents,
Mm-hmm.
and then we are going to uh, essentially have these listed on the exchanges sometime in November.
Okay.
So we are currently in conversations with a number of exchanges, and that's something we're very excited about. The other important thing is that this is not a concept. We have a working product, and we've already launched our MVP. So the MVP, you can go to uh, https://app.expercoin.com. So app.expercoin.com, and you will see MVP on the Ethereum mainnet, where you can actually put in your wallet address. You can get a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
You can schedule a live video call. You can pay them using ETH. And eventually what's going to happen is this ETH is going to be replaced by Expercoin. So, I really want to emphasize that the team we have is really stellar. They actually built something that is being used, and we really understand how blockchain works.
So a lot of goals that you have. You're working very hard over there.
Yeah,
So I can get involved in the pre-sale.
you can, yes. We are being selective. We want to ensure that the people who are involved in the pre-sale are strategic investors.
Mm-hmm.
So not everyone is being approved for the pre-sale,
Yes.
largely because there's a lot of interest.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are approved, then you will be able to purchase in the pre-sale. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
And what are
exactly.
you
So
looking for there? What kind of alignment are you looking for?
well, we're looking for folks who are going to become part of the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who are going to either launch republics or add value to our community.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of people we want to ensure we incentivize in the pre-sale.
Right, because they will
If someone-
actually be involved.
yeah, exactly. If someone is just looking to, buy tokens and sell them later, then they're speculators. Then, we are less excited about that
Right,
part.
they're at the wrong place.
Hmm.
Okay, fantastic. So for the future, what do you expect to see?
Well, we expect to launch over 30 republics next year,
Mm-hmm.
and we will launch over 500 in the next 5 years.
Okay.
And already we have a pipeline. We have people expressing interest. So our goal is going to be really scale this ecosystem and build many, many specialized communities of knowledge, of people who are acquiring knowledge and then also getting jobs based on that acquisition, right? So we want to not only be in the business of imparting knowledge, we also want to make sure that people get employed, and we create strong networks where people can get trained and then find jobs.
A couple of things that I've noticed, issues that I've noticed on Udemy is the fact, what doesn't appeal to me as a content creator would be the fact that they advertise at the bottom other courses that are not related to yours. So you kind of want to keep your look of your page to be single focused, and you don't want to divert other people, especially if they're taking a share in your revenue. So you don't want that. However, it's difficult to host your own website because of the limitations with video, video technology, and not being able. You don't want your users to be able to necessarily download the videos, otherwise they can just distribute. But you want to kind of have a streaming thing. And so that's a whole other field in itself. And I think from the Upwork perspective, I've seen a lot of things that are really not working. For example, the amount of proposals that are allowed to be sent are far too many. So what it's creating is a lot of confusion and time wasted for the client going through proposals, and for the service provider, writing out there. They're spending their whole days writing proposals. And I hear also from other service providers it's a huge problem. So their hourly rate is actually decreasing. So they're actually doing worse, where it's supposed to be enabling them and helping them.
Yeah, no, I think you've kind of touched upon a central problem with these platforms, that because people are not vetted, right? There's no way to understand who's vetted, who's not. So you have to go through 4 or 5 consultants before you find the right one. Similarly, on the courses side, there's so many courses, you don't know which one is the right one. And because they're competing with one another, the video pitch of the course is going to be great, but then when you get into the content, it's a hit or a miss, right? So the issue is that there has to be some sort of a way to peer review this content, have the backing of a community that is serious about this sort of work.
So and not just a 5-star rating. A 5-star rating is not enough nowadays, right?
Exactly. That everyone has a 5-star rating, and this is a problem that we see in even the ICO world, where you can buy ICO ratings these days from places like ICO Bench. You just pay a couple of experts and they rate you 5 stars, and right. So it's well,
that's beside the point. That's.
Yeah. So I mean, this is so I wouldn't trust ratings in general, that manner. Yeah. I think you have to look at the outcomes. You have to say that, okay, if I took courses on this platform, did I get a job at the end? Right. That's really what I'm interested in. That how many people, if 100 people went through my program, how many people at the end of that period ended up getting employment? And that's the kind of metrics you should be tracking, not some, how many stars a course gets.
I couldn't agree more. And I think what you're doing is amazing. We're talking to Harpreet Singh. I have to stop you there today, but it's so amazing. And I could talk to you forever about this because it's so important. And we're seeing really lives are going to change, hopefully for the better, from unemployment to some form of an income in a sustainable way, to improving skills. So I think what you're doing is amazing. Thanks for all the hard work you're doing there at the Harvard Innovation Lab.
Thank you very much, Rebecca.
We're talking to Harpreet Singh from Expercoin, and you can go check out their website. My name is Rebecca Hope from Block News. This is an episode of Meet the Makers. See you next time.